The morning sun barely peeked over the hills of Maplewood, Oregon. On a crisp September Tuesday in 2024, when the low rumble of a concrete truck jolted me awake, I stumbled to my kitchen window, still in my flannel pajamas, expecting a quiet day in my cozy suburban haven. Instead, I saw workers unloading heavy equipment by the creek that cuts through my backyard, a creek I'd grown to love over the 4 years since I bought this house for $250. 000. The air was thick with diesel fumes and the sharp tang of concrete additives as I stepped outside, barefoot on dew-soaked grass, my heart already racing with confusion. A woman in her late 40s, clipboard in hand, directed the crew with the confidence of someone who owned the place. She introduced herself as Karen Walsh, chair of the Pine Grove Homeowners Association's Landscaping Committee, and flashed a polished smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We're performing critical drainage maintenance under HOA easement rights," she said, pointing to a survey map that supposedly justified their presence. My creek, where I sipped coffee every morning, was apparently community infrastructure now. I glanced at the survey marker's bright orange stakes planted 20 feet inside my property line and felt my stomach twist. This was my land, wasn't it? I kept my voice steady, though my pulse was hammering. "Ma'am, this creek is on my property. Do you have my permission for this work?" Karen's smile tightened, like I'd just challenged the laws of physics. She launched into a rehearsed spiel about the HOA's authority under the neighborhood's covenants, conditions, and restrictions, CC and RS, claiming urgent stabilization was needed to prevent flooding. Her tone suggested I was the unreasonable one, and she waved off my request for easement documents, promising to provide them later. "We can't delay," she insisted, citing a forecast of heavy rain by the weekend. "This protects everyone downstream." The workers didn't pause, pouring concrete into my creek with chilling efficiency, smoothing it into channels that redirected the water's natural flow toward the western edge of my lot. I snapped photos with my phone, capturing every detail: the stakes, the truck, the contractor's logo, feeling a mix of dread and defiance as the concrete hardened, forever altering the stream I cherished. By noon, the crew had transformed my peaceful creek into an industrial chute, and Karen planted a metal sign in my yard: "Urgent Drainage Maintenance Community Property Contact HOA." She handed me her business card, thanked me for my cooperation, and left without cleaning up the concrete dust coating my grass. I stood there, staring at the sign, my chest tight with disbelief. How could they claim my land like this, without a shred of paperwork? The fresh scent of running water was gone, replaced by the acrid smell of curing concrete. Something felt deeply wrong, not just the trespass, but the precision of the channels, like they served a purpose beyond flood control. Determined to get answers, I drove to the Maplewood County Records office the next day, spreading my property deed across a research table. My finger traced the boundary lines. The creek was entirely mine, with no easements anywhere near it. The nearest utility strip was 60 feet away, for power lines only. I scanned certified copies, my resolve hardening. This was proof Karen had overstepped, but I needed more to fight back. That afternoon, my neighbor Emily Carter, a sharp-eyed accountant, called with a bombshell. She'd been digging into HOA finances and found no board approval for this urgent project. The contractor pouring concrete in my creek had also installed water infrastructure across the neighborhood that same week, all paid for through unapproved invoices signed by Karen alone. The timing wasn't random, it was coordinated, and it reeked of something bigger. Emily invited me over that evening, projecting her findings onto a screen in her tidy home office. Her Excel sheets laid it all bare: $25,000 spent on concrete and irrigation upgrades. No board votes. No resident notices. Karen had planned this for weeks, not days, contradicting her emergency claims. Worse, the HOA's insurance explicitly excluded coverage for work on private land without owner consent, leaving them exposed to massive liability. We agreed this needed board attention, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Karen's project hid a darker motive. The next morning, a strange gurgling sound downstream caught my ear during a walk. Flashlight in hand, I followed the creek to the HOA's common area, where I found a hidden water intake system tucked behind manicured shrubs. Metal pipes plunged into the creek, connected to pumps and a massive tank feeding irrigation lines. The setup was professional but deliberately concealed, and the contractor's truck nearby matched Emily's invoices. My creek wasn't just redirected, it was being siphoned for the HOA's landscaping, without permits or my consent. Over the next few days, I documented everything: pump cycles, water level drops during irrigation hours, even a faint chlorine smell in the creek, hinting at contamination from lawn chemicals. This wasn't flood control. It was theft, disguised as community improvement. I filed a complaint with the county, and within 48 hours, engineer Michael Torres arrived with surveying gear and a no-nonsense attitude. He measured the creek, confirmed my boundaries, and declared the concrete work illegal, issuing violation notices that halted the pumps. Karen showed up mid-inspection, flanked by HOA board members, repeating her flood prevention mantra. Michael cut her off. The HOA has no jurisdiction over private creeks. You needed permits and consent. Period. His tools revealed the concrete channels funneled water directly to the intake, not for drainage, but for extraction. My evidence photos. Timelines. Emily's financials painted a damning picture of deliberate overreach. Then came the audacity, a certified letter from the HOA, demanding I pay $15,000 for restoration due to my obstruction of their project. My hands shook as I read it, fury mixing with disbelief. Emily confirmed the HOA's insurance wouldn't cover Karen's actions, and residents were livid about potential special assessments. At an emergency board meeting, we presented our case: unapproved spending, insurance gaps, and Karen's emails proving she knew the creek was private but proceeded anyway. The room erupted as neighbors realized they'd face $3,500 per household to fix her mess. The arbitration hearing in October 2024 was electric. Arbitrator James Harper, a land law expert, dismantled Karen's claims. My binder of evidence surveys, violation notices, email showed premeditated violations. Emily's emails revealed Karen's plan to rush the work before objections arose. Michael's testimony confirmed the concrete served the illegal pumps, not flood control. James ruled the HOA liable for all costs and Karen personally responsible for $25,000 beyond insurance, citing her reckless disregard for law. He warned of possible criminal charges for theft, and Karen's face drained of color. Restoration began the next week, with county crews smashing the concrete under Michael's watchful eye. As the creek's natural flow returned, the HOA's irrigation sputtered and died, exposing its dependency on my stolen water. Residents watched, furious, as sprinklers failed across the neighborhood. Karen's desperate accusations that I'd sabotaged the community fell flat. I didn't touch your pumps, I said calmly. I just took back my creek. The community faced $70,000 in fines, restoration, and redesign costs, with assessments hitting $4,000 per household. Karen was ousted in a 40-2 vote. Her reputation shattered, and bankruptcy loomed as she faced personal liability. Over months, agencies piled on, county fines for unpermitted work, state penalties for water theft, EPA probes into chemical runoff. The creek healed, monitored for 2 years to ensure ecological recovery. I installed a bronze plaque by the stream, respect boundaries. Honor law. Creek restored through justice. Neighbors apologized, offering to collaborate on legal water solutions. New bylaws mandated board oversight and legal consultation, ensuring no repeat of Karen's fiasco. Standing by my creek a year later, under September 2025's golden light, I watched clear water dance over stones, the air clean and alive. The fight was grueling, but silence would have let Karen's scheme succeed. Her overreach cost her everything: position, finances. Respect and taught our community a hard lesson about accountability. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have confronted Karen that first day? Or played it safe and lost your land's heart? Should HOAs have power over private property? Or is this a warning to rein them in? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story fired you up. And subscribe to hear more tales of justice and defiance. Your voice matters. Let's keep this fight alive.